Honorable Chief Guests, Janab Amil Saheb and Ben Saheba. Distinguished speakers, guests, our Principal Dr. Sheikh Shabir Hussain, the esteemed board members of the school, teachers, volunteers, and dear participants, a very good afternoon. Honorable Chief Guests, Janab Amil Saheb and Ben Saheba. Distinguished speakers, guests, our Principal Dr. Sheikh Shabir Hussain, the esteemed board members of the school, teachers, volunteers, and dear participants, a very good afternoon to all of you present here today. It is my utmost pleasure to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to the event, Reshaping the Future with AI, organized by Barani Sarandip School. Today, we have gathered here to delve into the profound impact of artificial intelligence on our society and understand how it is shaping our future. And to commence this enlightening event, I invite Omar Ashtar Ali for the recitation of the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. Khuzaima Hussain. Mr. Hussain is a highly regarded expert in the field of artificial intelligence, AI, and holds an impressive background in IT consultancy, entrepreneurship, and AI research. He possesses degrees in computer science and business from Austin College in Texas, complemented by a minor in psychology. With a strong emphasis on ethical considerations and responsible AI adaptation, Mr. Khuzaima Hussain aims to bridge the gap between AI technology and its practical implementation. His passion lies in empowering individuals to navigate the AI-driven future with confidence and knowledge.
Through his extensive work, Mr. Hussain has made significant contributions to the field of AI, fostering innovation and advocating for the responsible use of AI in various industries. His expertise and insights promise to provide us with invaluable knowledge and guidance as we explore the impact of AI on reshaping our future. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Khuzaima Hussain as he shares his expertise and enlightens us with his valuable perspectives on AI.
Thank you, Ms. Butt. That was a nice, humbling experience. Janab Amir Sahib, Ben Sahab's principal, distinguished guests, students, warm welcome. Assalamu alaikum. So what I want to do, we are here. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Barani Sarandip School and especially Dr. Sheikh Shabir Hussain for taking and hosting this such an important event. We don't realize it now, but we will 6 months, 1 year into the future. So then we can look back today and be more prepared. Yeah? So wanted to just start with setting the stage. Everyone, what do you think your lives are going to be like 6 months, a year from now? Will you all be doing what you all are doing today exactly the same way? Will you all be coming to school a little different? How will your lessons plan be? Your work at office? Give me some ideas. What's going to be like a world a year from today? Okay, good. So she's going to stop using her intelligence and become a chat GPT expert, right? Okay.
As teachers, I would say that our lives are going to become even more difficult and challenging because we don't know whether an answer has been written by the student or chat GPT. But my students try their own, and I would say not only me, but other teachers. But I just want to give that message out that we are a little smarter than that. So we know when the answer has been written by chat GPT or whether it's their own natural intelligence.
But that's today.
But that's definitely it's a challenge for the teachers because it's reducing the creativity of our students, and that's a very dangerous thing because finally at the exams they have to write their own thing. They don't have ChatGPT there.
Good, thanks. But again, everything that you said is present. Now, a year from now, whether you will be able to know whether your student did it or not is questionable. Okay? Any others? What do you think your professional lives are going to be like? You're in the IT field. Mhm. Yeah. So hold that thought. I have a couple of slides on that. So what he said is, you. That's fine. Okay. Any others?
Yeah, so on a flip side to what Ms. Nafisa said, it like I've read about it. We haven't actually used it. That's the assessment part of it, and like from what I have read and researched, assessment is going to become easier. Have the proper tools, and I think AI has been introducing those tools. So yeah, and even I think in teaching, AI is going to make it more interesting for the students. So we are looking for, I mean, change is inevitable. So we are looking forward to something brighter, I think.
Everyone fasten your seatbelts, huh? Guys, I need some help. The Zoom sharing disabled. So while they're setting me up, let me ask a quick question. So last 6 months, I think, we've been hearing this word ChatGPT, ChatGPT, ChatGPT. Who can tell me what GPT means? You've got a Ravello chop. No, no cheating. Anyone? Okay. So it's generative, pre-trained, transformer. Okay, so this is for me. We good? Okay. So first of all, again, I just want to express I have a lot of gratitude for everyone that's been here. I'll have taken the time this afternoon to come and learn a little about AI. hopefully between Dr. Tara, Dimel, and myself, we'll try to navigate this and understand it a lot better, okay? So thank you, everyone. Okay. So just a quick rundown on today's agenda. So I'll be talking a little about what AI is, some of the challenges, some of the benefits, a lot more benefits than challenges, so, but we'll cover it. The main thing here is just to understand the challenges so you'll be much better when you use the product, okay? Then I think after me, Dr. Tara Dimel will come via Zoom, and she'll talk about AI specifically for the education industry, yeah? When she finishes her presentation, then I'll return again, and that's when we'll go through prompt engineering. So this is the whole thing about how to talk to a computer, and that's going to be our new language going forward, okay? We need to master that. And then after prompt engineering, Ms. Zainab, she'll give a few thoughts from the school's point of view. And then that's when the online session will end, and then we'll break into groups, and we'll try to do a small workshop using ChatGPT. And hopefully by the end of this session, you'll know the main objectives for the end of this session is for you to understand AI, understand how it learns, its limitations, become a little more proficient in prompt engineering, how to talk, and at the same time see the value of ChatGPT. So hopefully when you leave, your mind should be just buzzing with how I can do this, how I can implement it, how I can put it into my personal, professional lives, all that, okay? We good? Okay, so a lot of this a lot of the engineers of AI, they have compared AI almost to like the Industrial Revolution. So take yourselves back about 200 years. You were considerably working on farming and things like that. I'm hearing my sound here. Give me a second. So you were in the 200 years ago, everyone was agrarian, right? Everything was about food and farming. Then came the Industrial Revolution, factories, textiles, manufacturing, handicrafts. So people's lives just went crazy. So some of the AI experts are comparing what we're about to go through to that era. Then you've got some other experts that are comparing this to the invention of electricity. Again, put yourselves in a house with kerosene lighting, and now you've got a switch for your bulb, okay? So that's how profound we're about to experience change, okay? So electricity. Then you've got some other AI experts saying we're about to take off, and we're about to take off so rapidly that it's almost like the invention of the wheel. Like 5,000 years ago, when the wheel was invented in Mesopotamia, that's how profound AI is going to be. So again, it's anyone's guess, but I think for different people and for different people in their professions, it might have the wheel effect, it might have the electricity effect, or the industrial rev, right? So we have to be ready. This is not something where, okay, internet was there and then smartphones came and it was like a normal progression. We're right now about to do that, okay? So we just have to be ready. So, okay, so we've got the Industrial Revolution, we've got electricity and the wheel. So kind of those three main themes of what we're about. So we are right at the cusp of this. Now it's for us to see how we take advantage of it. Okay? Okay, so what is AI? What is this? Wisam, what do you think? What is AI? In layman's terms. Right. So good. So trying to mimic the cognitive processing of a human brain. So it is how, in a nutshell, it's how we learn, how we absorb the environment, our thinking processes, how we decision-making processes. So we're now trying to get this piece of machinery to think and behave like humans, okay? But I think more importantly, it's its ability to adapt and evolve. Okay, so that is going to be the game changer. Not sucking in tons of data and computing something. That, we have it today, right? Its ability to adapt and evolve. Now, we as humans, our adaptability, our evolution is, okay, you start as a baby, toddler, teenager, and we work our way up, right? So 30 years of life, right? Speed of light. Okay? So its ability to adapt and evolve at the speed of light. So that's going to be the game changer. So whatever you feed it, a couple of milliseconds later, you can get a result out of it. Okay? So that's why I say we are right like this, because now it's ready to start giving us results at the speed of light. Okay? There are three main categories of AI. So we've got narrow AI, general AI, and super intelligent. Okay? So narrow AI is where we feed it tons of data, it learns, it sees patterns, it gives us output. We are kind of at the cusp of narrow AI, right? You know, we go to Amazon, it gives us recommendations, Netflix, right? Google Maps. That's taking tons of data and doing some intelligent stuff, right? General is where AI reaches human thinking and capacity. So now at general, AI and human, we're one and the same. It's making decisions, it's learning the way the human brain is trained to learn. And then super intelligent, that's when the Terminator and Matrix come to life. Okay? So that's all I'll say about that. When we get to that, I hope we have been responsible. Okay? So the three things, again, narrow, general, and super intelligent, we're just at the tip of narrow. Okay? But again, go back to the previous thing. We're learning at the speed of light. So now narrow for a human could be 13, 15, 20 years. We're looking at days, weeks, and months. Okay? So that's why I said 6 months from now and a year from now might be very different from today because of this adapting and evolving of AI. Okay? So right now we think, okay, everyone's just talking ChatGPT, but this monster is now starting to be created. Okay? Little about how does it learn. So we have two types of the way it learns. And again, I don't want to go into too much theory, but you got super. I'm blocking the screen. Oh, sorry. Let me stand here. Then I lose my prompter. So we've got supervised training and unsupervised, okay? So just all you remember is it's the same data, but in supervised training, the data is labeled. So let's say it's a picture of a horse. So it will be horse, running, white. So now the computer knows, okay, this picture is of a white running horse. Then you'll give it another picture, okay, this is a car, and you label it car, no accident. And then you'll give it another picture, car, accident. So now again, it knows the difference between a car and a car with an accident, you know? So we're pushing tons of data into the system, but we're labeling it. So it kind of knows. So tomorrow, if I tell it to give me a green car that has met with an accident, it knows what green is, it knows what car is, and it knows what accident is. Right? And it comes up with its output also based on that learning. Okay? Some examples is image classifications, right? So again, I can just tell it, give me a car, you know, accident car. It will know what it is. Spam email detection. We all know that today because we've fed it tons of emails that are good emails and bad emails. We've labeled it. We've trained it. So now you hardly should be getting emails in your inbox, spam emails, right? Because now it's intelligent enough to know what a spam email is, right? Then you've got sentiment analysis. So here is where the industry has taken off like crazy in terms of call centers. So we've trained it with giving it voice, and we've told, This voice is frustrated voice. This voice is happy voice. This voice is angry. These words are not professional words. These words are casual words. So now it understands everything about voice. So now in call centers that have thousands of calls coming in a day, it's not humanly possible to analyze each call. But now we can. Every single call can get flagged because it knows what a frustrated call is, this, that. So now customer service will go at a different level because as soon as you hang up that call, it'll flag it, it'll go to a supervisor, and the supervisor will call you to do damage control. Right? In a human world, that's not possible. They might listen to about 50, 100 random calls. But now every single call will get flagged, good, bad, and it'll do that, right? So sentiment analysis will take off as well. Medical diagnosis. So again, you feed it tons of data, X-ray images. It'll very quickly tell you these are problematic X-rays, these are good X-rays, and start the comparison, right? So that's supervised data. Now with unsupervised data, it's exactly the same thing, but no labeling. So you're feeding it the same tons of data, but you're letting the computer decide on patterns. So it sees all the data and comes up with patterns. Now this is another advantage of AI, because humans cannot go through 1 million X-rays and come up with a pattern, right? This can. So it will say, for an example, it will say, okay, you know what? This X-ray of a 10-year-old, when that 10-year-old becomes 20, this is the problem that they will experience. So let's fix the problem here. Humans won't be able to do that, right? So medical science and the field of medicine will just skyrocket because they need patterns. They need a preemptive help, okay? Another unsupervised is customer segmentation. So why are certain people buying certain things in certain seasons? Because they live in the cold climate. These people live in warm climates. So it'll start segmenting customers. So it's going to be a lot intelligent to identify certain demographics, customer segments, right? And finally, anomaly detection. So, can't hear? Oh. So finally, anomaly detection. So here we use this a lot in the IT field, right? For computer hacking. If I bring my laptop and connect it to the school, the firewall is going to say, I don't like that laptop. It's spewing too much data. It might be hacked. Kill it, right? A lot of times we use anomaly detection for healthcare. So it will be personalized healthcare. Your blood pressure might be of a certain range, but mine might be different. So it will again flag it because it's out of your range, not my range. So anomaly detection also will now help. But again, it doesn't need tag data, it just sees patterns, okay? So those are the two main ways that we learn from AI, okay? Now, fraud detection. So let's say I live in Sri Lanka, I go tomorrow to Australia. And the first time I use my credit card, it doesn't work, okay? So what type of learning is that? Why did the computer block my credit card when I went to Australia? Who can? Anyone? What type of learning? So yes, it's anomaly detection, right? I don't visit Australia often, right? These are the countries I travel to. The minute I go to another country, it doesn't like it, it blocks it. I have to call my bank and let them know, okay, I'm traveling now, okay? So now we know that. So now we'll be preemptive. And we'll call our banks and tell them, look, I'm traveling to these 6 countries, don't block me, okay? Okay, let's change gears and let's talk a little about the timeline of AI. So when do you think the phrase AI was coined? Mm-hmm. All this is human-fed data. But the top one is humans feeding the data and tagging it. So you've got another human saying, this car is green and it has an accident. The second part is we're just giving it data. it's seeing patterns. So we've given a whole bunch of 10-year-olds, we've given it a whole bunch of 30-year-olds, and it's now seeing that this is how this X-ray is changing like this, right? It's not tagged. Okay, so when do you think AI was created? The term AI, when was it formed? What year? Yes, yes? Yes. Yeah. So 60, the original one is 1956. Okay? And in 1956 is Turing, he's the father of AI. Then in 60 there was a Dartmouth big convention, and that's when the term AI was created, right? Now from 66, okay, then we went to AI, the computer, beating a chess master, the Russian chess master. Okay? Okay, so we've got the Russian chess master. Okay? 1997. So from 1960s to about 97, it was kind of in dormant mode, and then it got enough data. So the internet started around 92, 95. We started spewing tons of data. Okay? And now that it learned from its data, it was able to beat the Russian chess master. Okay? And then March 2023, just 2-3 months ago, it actually passed the bar exam. Okay? And not just normal, 90th percentile. Okay? So you can see now, it's ready to take off. Okay? One big thing here, 1966 was Eliza. She was the first voice for the computer, so that's kind of like Siri and Alexa's Daddy Sasu. Okay? Okay, so we've got that. Okay, these are some guys that we take for granted on our daily lives, but there's a lot of AI baked into these guys, okay? So Facebook, Insta, the stuff that y'all are seeing is not just random, it's curated. It knows what you like, what you're interested in. It knows how long you watch the video, so you're interested in that type of video. It's all exactly curated to what you need, okay? So we got Siri, Maps, Bank, Amazon, all these guys that we take for, as part of our daily life. Okay, so 23, 24, these are the things that will take off, okay? So we've got chatbots, we've got image creation, conversational AI. These are the guys that are going to start to take off, okay? Limitations of AI. So this is where you'll be really powerful if you understand this, because then you'll stay out of trouble, okay? So the first thing is generalization. So now AI is made for specific tasks. Here are the rules of chess, it'll beat you in chess. But if you tell it to play checkers, it may not know how to play checkers. We as humans, we can take a little of the rules that we learned in chess and apply it to checkers. This can. It will down the road, but today it's going to be good at chess and really bad at checkers. Okay? So understand that. Data dependency. So the output quality is only going to be based on the input. Okay? So if you're looking at something that's very, very specific and there isn't a ton of data, you might get wrong, false. It'll give you answers that you're not, supposed to use. Okay. Creativity, emotional intelligence, right? It cannot feel emotion. It knows what happy and sad is from a data point, but it doesn't know what happy and sad is, right? So you can't just tell it, I'm happy, do this for me. It doesn't know what that happy feeling is, okay? And it cannot create something truly unique because it's always going to use the data it has to generate something new. So it's going to be a subset of what has been put into it. Whereas we as humans can push the envelope. We can think outside the box. We might not use examples or data that we have been fed. Okay? So again, just keep that in mind. And then for transparency and explainability. So you ask it a question, it'll spew out an answer. It won't tell you how it got to that answer, the logic behind it, all that. So if it's high stakes like medicine, legal, you want to stay away because you won't know what logic and data has been used for that answer. Things to watch out for, okay? So diversity and thought, natural bias. So again, if you're using lots of data from, let's say, European data, and you're trying to analyze it and give out something for African, it's not going to work, okay? There'll be a bias in there, so you have to be careful, okay? Standard homogeneous, again, art, music, all that is kind of going to be like standard, because again, it's using the same data set that you have. Human creativity is going to be devalued. Why do I need that artist when I can just now create my art, okay? And again, I think we've all talked about it, the Turing test. So this is a test, Alan Turing, we all refer to, is when the human doesn't know that the output has been created either by a human or a computer. So if the human gets tricked and does not understand who has given the output, that's called the Turing test, okay? So now you all are going to start seeing tons of data and you'll be questioning, did a human do it, computer do it, was it a collaboration? Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself now, okay? If you rely too much, okay? So skill erosion. You all are going to have issues writing an email 6 months from now, okay? We will start talking to a computer and not people, right? So social interactions, all that will start to take digital divide. People who have AI and internet will again be very separated from people who don't. Cyber attacks will be the name of the game, okay? And if ChatGPT goes down, you all may not come to work that day, okay? Because of the reliance of it. Healthcare, we know we need to take a Panadol, but we'll still give the Imodium because ChatGPT said to give Imodium, right? So our intuition will start to take a hit. And we may not ask another doctor for a second opinion because we start relying so much on this thing here. So be careful when it comes to healthcare. Teachers, tutor bots, okay? You can make them your friend or your foe, okay? Once again, we can't do AI alone. It doesn't replace us. Let's work with it, okay? We have to be balanced. Some of the ethics. Now, I'm just going to mention this. We can stay here for hours discussing this. But here are things that we have to keep in mind, okay? Accountability. So when the computer makes a mistake or gives you a bad answer, who are you going to blame? Okay? How do we ensure that the AI decisions are aligned with our human morals and values? Because again, it's using a set of data, right? So unintentionally, it will propagate human biases because that's the data it's been fed. So you have to keep that in mind. This is a nice one, decision making. You're sitting in an autonomous vehicle, 5 people in the car, an accident is imminent. Should the car save the 5 people in the car or go knock the motorcyclist on the side? So shall I hit one guy and save 5 or shall I do nothing and let the 5 get hit? So these are all tough questions that's going to be addressed and needs to be addressed, okay? Ownership. Who owns the content that the computer created? Can you take ownership? Deep fake. So I can publish a whole bunch of bad data, and now that bad data will start to merge with the good data. So now you're going to get average data. So again, I can pump a whole bunch of bad things and muddy the water, right? Fraud. Am I talking to a human on the phone or computer? Because if I think I'm talking to a human, I might give him a little more data. But if the computer tricks me, and if it's the computer, yeah, give me 5 minutes. It'll use that data for doing bad things, right? We've got 100,000 humans that don't exist, that are all synthetic, okay? So that's all I'm going to say, is we've got a whole bunch of humans that look like humans, they're going to get a brain, they're going to get voice, and now they'll end up being influencers. Okay, so who are you going to believe now? And first of all, can they trick you to think that they're human? Okay? There are a lot of advantages. For each industry, we'll have a ton of advantages. Okay, so Advantages is going to be huge compared to all the not so good things, okay? But I won't go through each of these, but every industry, every field will have huge advantages if used correctly, okay? So financial, transport, surveillance, everything. So all this will now start using, I won't show this. I just want to tell you that I just created a movie.
AI's power is limitless, but remember, with power comes responsibility.
It will change all aspects of our lives. We must prepare. Harness this wisely, and we'll sculpt our future, not fear it.
So all I'll say is, I just created that video, and the only thing I gave it was the taglines at the bottom that you saw. Okay? So 6 months ago, me putting a video on a presentation was not an option. Okay? The only thing I gave it was the subtitles that you saw at the bottom. And it knows context, it created the video. Okay? So, we grew up watching this. There was sci-fi back then. Okay? Might be a documentary today. So again, it's our journey, our responsibility. We need to act. Otherwise, again, just like the Industrial Revolution, we did all this stuff, we did all this good stuff, and now we're going in a, we need to recycle, we damaged the earth, we did all this bad stuff with the Industrial Revolution, and we are undoing a lot of that. With AI, I don't think we will have that luxury, okay? We won't be able to undo AI, because AI is going to be thinking on its own. Industrial Revolution, there was no computer involved, it was us doing the thinking, we just overdid it. With AI, we won't be able to stop it, okay? So we just need to be, so that's all I had for this first session. Dr. Tara Demel now will come and talk about AI and its impact with the education industry. Yeah? I'll just leave you with this.
I'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. Kuzaima Hussain, for sharing his invaluable expertise and insights. Now, it is my privilege to introduce our next esteemed speaker, Dr. Tara Demel. Dr. Demel is a distinguished member of the UNESCO Advisory Board of the Global Education Monitoring Report. She brings with her a wealth of experience, having served as the former Secretary for the Ministry of Education and Vice Chairperson in the National Education Commission. Throughout her illustrious career, Dr. Tara Demel has been deeply engaged in promoting quality and equality in education. With a medical background and extensive teaching and research experience, she has made significant contributions to the field of AI. Additionally, Dr. Demel is a member of the Global Consultative Group for the Mindfulness Initiative, further showcasing her dedication to holistic well-being. We are honored to have Dr. Tara Demel with us today, and we eagerly anticipate her enlightening insights on education and its intersection with the evolving landscape of AI. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Tara Demel.
Good evening, everybody. I am just about to share my screen. First of all, can you please let me know whether I'm audible and also whether you could see what I'm about to share?
Yes, doctor, everything is fine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to join this esteemed discussion. Actually, The reason why I wanted to join this and I accepted the invitation was because I don't think any other school or educational institution in Sri Lanka has started a conversation on this extremely important topic. So it was kind of mind-boggling that a private school, a private international school, and when the principal spoke to me expressing his interest in talking about this, I really thought that I couldn't say no. And so that brings me to this forum, and I'm really happy that we are at least initiating a conversation on this, because in the Sri Lankan education system, this is generally not talked about, or even if it is talked about, it's talked about with some amount of fear. What we saw from what the previous speaker said, evidently, he's such an expert on AI. Not only is the future going to be exciting, but it can also be scary. So I want to start my brief interlude by just sharing with you some recent information I gathered from the United States Congressional Subcommittee on AI, which began its hearings a few days ago. I think they're continuing the hearings. Some of you may already know this. But what was interesting is that this subcommittee for oversight on AI, named as Privacy, Technology, and the Law, their terms of reference was to write the rules of AI and to demystify AI. Demystifying AI, I think, is one of the most important things that I'm going to talk about today, because there is a cloud of misconception, cloud of fear, cloud of suspicion sitting around the topic of AI. So when the congressional subcommittee sat and the senators were questioning the creators of ChatGPT and other AI bots, and also representatives from the IBM, they were discussing how to demystify AI, how to avoid the mistakes of the past when new technologies were introduced. For example, when social media boom hit all of us, there were no rules and regulations set in place. So I think this governance issue on AI, the rules and regulations of AI, I think that is what is extremely important, and that's something we need to discuss, whether we are talking about a school education system, a country, or a firm, or a company, or a university, or anything. And we will talk about that. Now, another point that was raised in this congressional hearing was that today we are talking about AI, in like such a novel thing. But I heard from the previous speaker that actually it was born something like in the 1950s. 20, 30 years ago, as he's quite rightly said, we may look at it with a totally different lens. I'm reminded of the mobile phones we used to see back in the day, in the late 1980s, early 1990s. They were huge handsets, totally different from what we use today. So maybe in 20 years' time, we may even wonder why we had this conversation today and spent 2 hours discussing this topic. So that's how fast change will happen. But what I want to emphasize, particularly if this discussion is being viewed by people in the state education sector, is AI in education is something we cannot afford to ignore. We cannot ignore it. We cannot disregard it. We cannot live like we are under a rock, but because it is on top of us now, and we have to actually face the truth. So to me, before I get on to my presentation per se, to me, the most important thing about AI is how it helps in democratizing education, how it helps more and more students to access education, and how it helps more and more teachers to understand education and to deliver education. So I see AI tools as tools and not as scary creatures or those images we saw at the beginning of the presentation. So I hope people will understand these are simply tools we can and we must use whilst bearing in mind the difficult challenges that they will pose to us. So it's a democratizing tool, and that's one of the things that I want to mention. So The motto being to maximize the benefits of AI whilst mitigating the challenges. To maximize the benefits whilst mitigating the challenges. So with that, let me go into my presentation in detail. Some of what I'm going to say had already been mentioned by the previous speaker, so I'm not going to dwell too much on it. I mean, the first point that we need to understand is that, like he said as well, that AI is actually the development of certain types of competencies and skills and tasks that would normally have typically required human intelligence. Most of the time, almost all of the time, it involves algorithms and models. So therefore, the human cognitive functions, particularly important cognitive functions in relation to education, like critical thinking, reasoning, problem solving, perception, and so on, we are able, through AI, for the computer to actually do it for us. So it helps in developing these cognitive skills. So like we discussed, like it was mentioned earlier, AI systems design, process, and analyze vast amounts of data. Say, for example, if I want to refer to a certain historical incident that would have happened in the 19th century, I may have to read large numbers of papers or books to understand what happened and to write an analysis of that. AI systems have that ability to take vast amounts of data, a lot of data, and also to do the type of analysis that I would take a very long time to do. So that's an extremely important thing when it comes to education. Why I have mentioned machine learning here is because very often people get confused with machine learning. Machine learning is actually just a subtype, a field, a technique of AI, like deep learning, natural language processing, and etc. is. And the important thing is that machine learning is also an aspect of AI that involves training algorithms to learn from predictions and to take actions without being explicitly programmed. So when you look at the tools, the AI tools in education, what we need to always understand is they lay the foundation for further learning in computer science. So we need to understand that it is a computer science that actually evolves into AI tools that we will eventually use in a productive way in education. Like I mentioned earlier, the development of critical thinking, problem-solving skills. Some countries even have started these at elementary school in the primary and secondary grades, where they again focus on the basic concepts of computer science, programming. So students, I'm sure this you all know, students as young as maybe 6, 7, 8, have been introduced these concepts. Students are also taught how to learn code simple programs, and they are introduced to what an algorithm is. I mean, it's unfortunate that in the Sri Lankan school system, this is not done. Coding seems, quite like a brand new, bizarre exercise. So most of the rural schools, in particular in Sri Lanka, none of these applications are available, and they seem frightening to the teachers and the students. The senior students, where everybody knows about the recent explosion of AI bots like ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, Bard, etc., and how more and more senior students are now using these bots fairly effectively, and we'll come back to that in a moment. So like I said, the ability for these tools to analyze vast amounts of educational resources, fill in the content gaps, create a very efficient creation of high quality and engaging educational content, particularly benefiting teachers. These are all things that all of us must understand when we talk about using AI tools in education. Most of the disadvantages and advantages of AI are known, but I just put up 4 bullet points for each. Often when people talk of using AI tools in education, one of the first things they say is the exploitation of personal information and data, which is true. That can be a very dangerous thing. So that's why I initiated the conversation by talking about the rules that should govern the use of AI tools. So exploitation of personal information, particularly if it comes to student information, that can be extraordinarily dangerous. Again, dissemination of disinformation. This again can happen in an educational institution, spreading various types of untruths about students. Interestingly, the dissemination of disinformation in the congressional hearing was spoken about in relation to the upcoming presidential election in the United States next year, and how worried they all were that manipulating people's opinions through dissemination of disinformation has to be factored in. But here we are talking about a school system. So promoting bias, prejudice, racism, this is very real. Again, this is exploiting students' opinions, maybe teachers' opinions on this particular aspect. So promoting racism, not respecting others, whether it's your peers or your staff, those can be very dangerous. And the authorities, the school authorities have to take note. Voice cloning, I mean, is also extremely important and interesting. I mean, here I'm talking to you, I'm trying to explain the context in which AI tools can be used in a school system. I'm talking of the disadvantages and the advantages of AI in a very balanced way, in a professional way, and in a very objective way. But a new AI tool, a software that can clone a voice, can easily use my voice taken from another presentation and say just the opposite of what I'm saying. That can be extremely worrying, dangerous. It may be saying the very opposite of what I'm now talking. So voice cloning is an issue that authorities have to be very careful about. Well, the advantages of AI, we all know. I mean, there are talks about cures for cancer and serious degenerative disorders like, motor neuron disease, things that were completely off the medical charts in terms of cures. Apparently, those are on the cards, addressing climate crises, advances in physics and biology. And like I said at the very beginning, for me, the principal advantage of AI would be to democratize the access of education via technology to thousands of students who do not have access. And I can say that with personal experience. In terms of the Sri Lankan education system, we have like 10,150 schools, 4.3 million children, and not even a fraction of those schools have even a computer lab. There may be like 1,000 students, maybe with one digital lab. So all the students in that school will not be able to have an access to the computer, and thereby all the use the AI tools that we're talking about. So having a system where we democratize the access of education using technology by bringing in lessons through AI tools, where into areas of the country where there are no teachers or there are no educational materials. I mean, those are significant advantages we cannot afford to ignore. So this becomes, I think, the cardinal point in my presentation, the ethical and social implications. Once again, I'm saying the ethical and moral responsibility of using AI tools rests with the school authorities. So AI governance structure, I feel, is imperative because we did not have a social media governance structure. We have seen how much Facebook has been exploited, how much Instagram has been exploited, how many students have suffered as a result. So that's, I think, a moral imperative. Preventing child exploitation, I mentioned this earlier. Similarly, preventing bullying and harassment of students. So the fourth bullet, the necessity for constant supervision and monitoring the use of AI bots. Because the AI bots are here with us. They are here to stay. Only the more and more advanced versions will now be with us. Earlier it was ChatGPT only. Now it's GPT-4 and so on. So this rests essentially in the hands of the principal and the teaching staff of the school. So again, it's the AI governance structure with regulations and safeguards that becomes a prime responsibility. These are things we all know, but I'm just going to run through this because we should also be completely aware that and never forget the benefits of using bots, AI bots, and in this case, commonly ChatGPT. We all know about how ChatGPT can personalize the learning experience of each student. So the student can get like a personal feedback to a question, an analysis can be discussed with the bot, explanations can be got from the bot, and the student's creative thinking, the critical thinking, creativity can actually enhance through that personalized learning. And of course, it's round the clock learning because the student can do all this learning while at home. It does not necessarily stay with the learning that the student gets inside the classroom, provided the student has his own laptop or own device. And of course, there's sufficient connectivity, internet connectivity. So we know those had serious challenges in the Sri Lankan setting. Improved engagement. The ChatGPT, as you all know, the engagement is serious. There can be very exciting conversations on a particular topic, particularly like an analysis of a particular situation, or maybe an assignment can be analyzed with the bot. So there's a lot of engagement, which students today currently in the state school system don't have. So all of that are going to enhance learning outcomes, and learning outcomes are actually the ultimate that we want to test by testing the learning competencies. So using bots like ChatGPT will improve the possibility of good learning outcomes in students. Now, the last 4 bullets are really essentially how teachers would benefit. I think the teachers in the audience already know this. Lesson plan preparation is a common example. I mean, I have asked ChatGPT to prepare not a lesson, but a structure for presentations that I'm making, or a discussion that I'm about to have, or a paper I'm about to write. I may not use everything that ChatGPT tells me, but at least I have a structure to work on, and that keeps me, engaged in preparation of that plan. It could be a plan for establishing a certain program in a particular institution. So I think teachers will find that it is really beneficial. Now comes student mentoring, and I like this very much because I've been listening to what the Khan Academy has been doing, and I'm sure many of you have. The Khan Migo bot, how they use that on the 2 sigma problem. In simple words, it means that student mentoring one-to-one improves learning outcomes dramatically, as opposed to having student mentoring of a ratio that is not one-to-one. For example, it's 20-1 or 30-1 in the case of the Sri Lankan schools, state schools, or maybe even 10-1 if it's a one-to-one mentoring. So these AI bots actually help in giving such mentoring. So I would urge all those who haven't watched the Khan Academy videos, particularly the 2 sigma problem, how the standard deviation changes, please do have a look at it. Collaborative learning, I mentioned this earlier, so teachers can actually involve students more in collaborative learning. Collaboration in discussing assessments, discussing evaluations, and discussing the lessons themselves. And finally, smart schools. I'm sure your school has already looked at it because AI tools can optimize the operation, improve efficiency, and thereby reduce the costs and so on. So there are heaps of advantages. So let's not deny that or relegate that to something that we shouldn't be discussing. This is again for teachers, like the predictive analytics. I mean, we have to be aware of that because analyzing student data, identifying the patterns of the students' learning, their trends, how many students, or is a particular student having a tendency to fall back in his grades, how many students are dropping out or struggling academically. So those are very useful for teachers. All these are really for teachers. Similarly, adaptive assessment and educational content creation. That's the last bullet, which, like preparing lessons, content creation can be aided by a bot. So teachers can use that, provided, of course, the correct prompts are given. And language learning, this can help students as well as teachers. There are several language learning tools. I'm sure you all know all of that more than me. So these all fall into the basket of the positives, the advantages of using AI tools. A quick look at what universities are doing. Well, I think everybody knows when ChatGPT burst into the public domain in November 2022, certain universities actually banned the use of ChatGPT because they thought essays were going to be written by ChatGPT. Some countries, even Italy, I think, banned the use of ChatGPT for about 2 to 3 weeks, then reversed that decision. Hot on the heels of this topic, immediately some universities developed software that could actually detect plagiarism. So here we had one aspect of the plagiarism phobia, which was immediately countered by anti-plagiarism or plagiarism detection tools, again using AI. So it's like, very exciting on the one hand, also very challenging unless the education authorities are on top of the situation. So several universities are currently using ChatGPT and the GPT-4, etc. These are just some examples like Stanford and so on, Carnegie Mellon University. I mean, there are loads of it. I just put 2 or 3 examples here. And I'm waiting for the day when most of the Sri Lankan universities and the faculties start using anti-plagiarism tools and simultaneously encourage the use of ChatGPT and the other AI bots in our higher education system. Let's hope that day is not far away. Can students misuse ChatGPT and similar AI bots? Of course they can. I mean, that's why we spoke about the counter techniques we should use in the previous slide. Some students may totally rely on the AI tool for the answer instead of thinking themselves. So it's up to the teacher to be able to cleverly discern that. Of course, plagiarism, bullet 2 talks of cheating on assignments or using different types of information and using it in their answers, which they haven't learned or understood. So it's essential for educators to educate students. That's the key. That's why I'm glad we are talking to the educators here. The teachers and all the educators should have a thorough understanding of the topic so that they are on top of it when students are allowed to use these AI tools. So there you are, AI-powered plagiarism checkers. So we spoke about that. I mean, there are plenty available, and I'm sure anybody can access those today without much of a cost. So I just want to mention that for the Sri Lankan education system, and I'm not talking about the private or the international school system, I'm talking about the local public school system, the one which I am most familiar with. We must understand that AI has come to stay. Like I said, I mean, unless somebody has been living under a rock for the last so many years, everybody should know that this is a reality. Again, to repeat, teachers and educators should learn the benefits and the disadvantages of using AI tools. It's a tool and not a creature to be scared of. National colleges of education and all the teacher training colleges, they have to familiarize themselves with this tool, these tools. They have to get a special training in these tools. Because if it has not come today, it is definitely going to come. At least their students are going to bring it into class, maybe in a week's time, a month's time, maybe a few months' time. They must learn from peers in maybe peers from the Sri Lankan non-state school systems or from overseas on how to manage AI tools and how to manage challenges and how important it is to use these for student mentoring. These are things that I mentioned earlier, but I'm emphasizing as a point that we should always bear in mind. And finally, this again, I think most of you would probably know, late last year, the UNESCO published a very good document. This is the cover of that document, where they encouraged governments, encouraged countries to start developing their own AI curricula, K to 12, not even primary school, even before that. So they mapped in this book. I would urge you all to, this book is available, the link is available. I could even send it to the principal later. You could see how they have, UNESCO has mapped government endorsed AI curricula in some 30 odd countries. But it's surprising, it's only some 30 odd countries that have actually developed AI curricula. So many countries are yet to do it. So what I want to say is that AI curricula need to be developed in schools, either by, ideally in the school, but at least by the government, in our case from the National Institute of Education, endorsed obviously by the National Education Commission and implemented through the Ministry of Education. And once AI curricula are developed, then using the tools, people become more familiar with using the tools. Teachers with their own teacher training will become more familiar with using these curricula for the benefit of education. So this is the parting message that I want to give, and particularly schools like yours, which have launched this very exciting forum. Like I said, it's the first that I have come across in any school or university in this country. So using AI curricula, school system, university system, and having state endorsement for it, I think is mandatory moving forward. With that, I will pause, and I'm more than willing to answer any questions that you may wish to answer. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
The floor is now open for any questions for Dr. Tara. Would anyone like to ask any question?
Hello.
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
My question is, in terms of tools that are out there for AI, both from a teacher's standpoint as well as from a parent standpoint, there are a slew of tools that sometimes even we are not sure which one would be a more appropriate tool to use. So from a central government standpoint or from a ministry standpoint, are there any recommended tools that are being considered that could be recommended to schools and therefore to teachers and parents?
Well, as far as I know, in the Sri Lankan education system, there is no government-approved AI curricula, nor is there any government-approved AI teacher training program for any of the grades, as far as I know. I have read in the newspapers that there are moves in that direction, but what's mind-boggling is we have a very small number of schools which have computers as well as the internet. So if AI is going to be introduced as just a lecture in a very theoretical sense, I don't think it will serve the purpose that it should serve. So I don't know exactly what the government has in mind in terms of what I have read in the newspapers. But even if it does introduce these to schools that already have computers and have the internet, that has to be necessarily preceded by teacher training. And if the teacher training does not go hand in hand with the necessary infrastructure being installed in the schools, once again, the students are not going to get the benefit. You all would know giving a lecture on AI using a couple of PowerPoint slides is not actually what we would want teachers and students to absorb in terms of using AI tools. They have to use it practically, hands-on. So that's where the dilemma is. So let's hope something good will happen. Just to give you a brief idea of how we are positioned in terms of the infrastructure needed. We have, out of the 10,100 schools, we have something like just about 5,000 schools which have ICT labs. But that also, if the school has a large population of students, we may not have the adequate ratio, student to computer ratio. We may not have the correct number of digital labs. It may be just one or two. We just have about 1,500 schools only that are connected through fiber optic networks, and with some about 5,000 schools with data packages. Again, like dongles are available in some 100 or 200 schools, very little. And the most kind of alarming thing is that when it comes to the Sri Lankan school system, the advanced level students, in the advanced level classes, we have a total of about 3,000 classes offering advanced level facilities. Less than 1,000 have science and technology facilities, meaning teachers and infrastructure. So given that scenario, I can't see how we can democratize access to education, and nor can we enable AI tools for usage amongst all the students as it should be. Having said that, even if the government at some point decides to introduce this as a big national priority and starts teacher training, I think they can very well learn lessons from schools like yours. There may be many other private and international schools that have already started talking about this, and that's, I think, a great asset to have within the country, because we could learn from the peers, like I said in my presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Tara. So,
Yes.
Hi. Having understood that AI can be a platform that could help children and teachers in schools to develop their skills and to form a better future, but also having learned that the more it has its ups, also it has its downs. So, yes, like you said, it's a tool, but which is not something you should be scared of. But something that I've learned about AI, through my own research, it is something that is some kind of a little bit scary than what we know, because it has the ability to adapt and evolve on its own with the data that we feed, right? And having said that, how safe it is to introduce this kind of technology to our children, knowing that it can exploit their creativity, their thinking skills, and their behavioral skills, and everything else in general, their personality, everything. It could, I feel, this is what I feel, it could, kind of put a stop at a certain point to their creativity, to their thinking, to everything else what we do as a human being. Because technology is something that human is again creating, right? But if the AI is going to take over us at one point, which is definitely going to happen in future, as far as I know, if that is going to take over the human creativity, which is already happening, because the fields like industries like the music, the arts, and all these things are already being the professionals are being replaced, as far as I know already. If this comes into play, how effective it is going to be to the children, also the professionals, the parents, how are they going to be able to put a control to what they are going to use with AI, how they are going to be able to, it's understood that we have to make the controlling point, but with such intelligence technology, you cannot actually put a parameter to say where to put a stop. How are we going to cope with that process?
Thank you for that very pertinent question. This is the question that most parents ask, most parents talk about. This is the question that most government officials talk about. This is the question that most educators talk about. So we need to address it. First of all, I think in my initial first 2 minutes, I mentioned this phrase a few times, maximizing the benefits and mitigating the challenges. Never forget that, maximizing the benefits and mitigating the challenges. When social media came upon us several years ago, none of us knew what Facebook was. None of us knew what Instagram, WhatsApp, none of us knew any of that. It took over, basically it took over. Subsequently, as the days went by, people who would say, oh my gosh, I'll never touch Facebook. I will never even look at Instagram, were already on it. So everybody thought my child's life is in danger with Facebook. His pictures are going to be shared all over. People are going to start using WhatsApp to communicate information. That was the fear. I don't know whether it's 10 years ago. I don't know whether it's 15 years ago. It is not very far away. Now, if I ask how many people in your audience doesn't use Facebook or doesn't use WhatsApp, that would be a very curious question. So please remember, like I said, whether we like it or not, technology is running much faster than any one of us. Technology is outpacing the regulations on technology. That's why the US congressional hearing, in a very earnest and sober manner, they were very worried about it because it's running at a pace. It's a kind of an explosion that has taken over. We can't escape from it. Your students, your children will be under you today in your custody, but in 4 years, 5 years, they'll be out of your reach. And then they will be bombarded with all of this. And whether you like it or not, they will be using AI tools. We don't even know whether they will use the AI tools maliciously, manipulatively. So I think it's up to us as parents, as educators, as elders, firstly to understand that the AI technological revolution is here to stay. It's not going away. And like the previous speaker said, it's only going to be, we are at the very beginning, at the cusp of the first stage of it. When we come to the third stage, that's when we need to get very scared, I feel. So whether we like it or not, firstly understand it's not going to go away, it's with us. So what should we do? Understand what this is, understand the technology, understand what the AI tools are, what are its benefits, what are its problems, its challenges, and mitigate the challenges. When a parent or a teacher is fully aware of that, the parent and the teacher can completely use it in a way. I think an educator can manipulate the tool. That's how I see it. So that the child's creativity will not be taken away. Instead, the student's creativity can be enhanced. That's how a clever educator would use an AI tool. That's how I see it. That's why I urge you to listen and watch the Khan Academy videos, how they use their bot, Khan Migo, which they themselves developed, and how they are shaping the creativity of the students and helping the educators to mitigate the challenges and help the students in their journey with AI. So that's the first thing that I want to mention to you, because whether we like it or not, our students, our children, all of them will have some device or the other sooner or later. All of them will know everything about, from ChatGPT to the more advanced bots. If not today, like I said, in a month or in 4 or 6 months. Let's train them. Let's prepare them. Let us understand. I mean, in November and December, I sat and learned this because people were talking to me and I was talking to people. I wanted to learn it so that I'm able to talk with confidence and factually, understand what this technology is. And there are many experts in Sri Lanka who are willing to share their experience and understanding on this to address the very point that you made, ma'am, which was fear, concern. Will they take over our children? No, it won't happen, provided we look sharp. Having said all of that, I must also say another aspect to this mind manipulation possibilities, my potential for mind games that all these technologies can do. So it was mentioned in the introduction, in my introduction, that in the introduction to me, rather, that I have been involved in mindfulness training, and I'm part of a global network that promotes mindfulness training amongst educators. I think now more than ever, mindfulness training has become an imperative for every education institution. Because being mindful is just to learn or train the mind to be in the present moment. Because all these devices and these technologies are so distractive. They increase our amount of distractibility because it's exciting. As a result, our minds can get a little bit confused, can become, it can run faster than we want it to run. So I would urge whatever school, whatever institution that is promoting these technologies, which it should rightly do, should in parallel look at various practices that are happening in the world. And yesterday I watched a very interesting YouTube video where Dr. Jack Cornfield, a mindfulness practitioner and a trainer, is talking to the creator of ChatGPT, Sam Altman, the creator, the founder of OpenAI. And he was expressing these same concerns. Will the students' minds become more confused, distracted, and disorganized as a result of this? And fortunately, the CEO of OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, is himself a meditator, a mindfulness practitioner. So he gave his answer to that, which I'm not going to take up time discussing today. So that's my answer. We must not throw away the technology or expect the technology to go away. It won't. So let's prepare ourselves and prepare our students to face the challenges of the future.
We have time for one more question. This is one from our online audience. Will AI make certain subjects and vocations obsolete in the near future? And how should schools prepare for this when designing curricula?
I think the answer is yes. One of the biggest concerns people in the industry have is that lots of jobs will be lost. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, a lot of new jobs will also be created. So I think it's up to educational institutions to understand the jobs of the future. The World Economic Forum publishes every 3 months a set of, skill sets. The skill sets that will be needed in the future and the jobs of the future. I urge you to please look at the World Economic Forum website. It will give you a detailed list of jobs that are likely to go away in the next few years or coming decade, and the jobs that are new jobs that are likely to get created. In fact, a research study published by the University of Oxford recently had said that when it comes to 2035, more than 30% of the jobs that will be available then in 2035 are not jobs that are there today at all. That's not difficult to believe. In September 2022, none of us had heard of ChatGPT, and today we are having a whole forum on ChatGPT. So it's very possible. So I always look at, I don't know whether you are familiar with the term Gen Alpha, students who were born between 2010 and will be born before 2024, 2010, 2024 interval. That's Generation Alpha. Those are the students who are either in the primary classes now or they are in the junior secondary classes. When they come to school leaving ages and they are the ones who are going to look for the new jobs, they need to be equipped with the jobs of 2035, 2040. Because nearly 50%, like I said, of the jobs that will be available then are not known today. So that's why education needs to understand, tweak, and discuss. And let's go a bit further than that, and let's be futuristic. Don't allow AI only to be futuristic. Let us be futuristic. Look at Gen Beta. That's the generation to come after that. Students will be born 2025 and beyond. They are probably like, we don't even know what kind of education system to prepare for them. So let's look at those important prospects, those forecasts, and educationists must get together and think of those in a futuristic manner, because like we heard from our very excellent previous speaker, who he mapped out the trajectory which can be scary, like I said, but also exciting. So let's not ignore that. Let's prepare for it fully and understand that the jobs of the future are the jobs we don't even know today. So I think it's a wake-up call for all of us. Let's get together, discuss, read, understand, see what the world is saying, and not to live like, little fish in a small, deep bowl, but let's look outside and learn from our peers everywhere in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Tara. With that, we have come to an end to our Q&A session. Over to the AI.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in expressing our deepest gratitude to Dr. Tara Demel for gracing us with her presence and sharing her immense expertise on education and its relationship with the evolving landscape of AI.
Please join me in giving a warm welcome.
Please again, stop me at any time. Where's the thing? Oh, can I have that? Thanks. This is the non-theoretical side of the presentation, okay?
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Welcome home, Scott.
Of a house in 2 years. Just kidding. Okay. So the whole session, this whole session now is how we will learn to talk to a computer, okay? me just mute this. So regardless of the profession that we are in, may it be business, doctors, engineers, students, educators, right now, if we are going to embrace AI, we will need to learn how to talk to AI. Because if we don't learn how to talk to AI, we're not going to get the results we expect. Yeah. So what I want to do is just show you a little about what ChatGPT is. Now again, keep in mind, just like what Dr. Demel said, ChatGPT is just one of the many AI tools. Right now we are running at about 1,000 AI services a month. That's at the rate that websites are being created. So again, using the ChatGPT model, the GPT model, but a lot of businesses are creating individual, services based on that model. So 1,000 new websites are being developed every month for different aspects of AI. Okay, ChatGPT just one of them. Okay, want you all to just read this and take a few seconds and just understand this and contemplate on this. Okay? Because this is exactly what Dr. Tara Demel said. Okay, so AI is not going to replace us, but a person using AI will. Okay, so now it's up to us on how much we embrace it and how much of an expert we become in using it. Okay, so we don't need to be scared of AI. We need to be scared of the other person who uses AI. Okay. This is a teaching by our late Sayyidina, the current Sayyidina, Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin Aka, Tawallallahu Umrah Sharif Ilayomidin's grandfather, His Holiness Dr. Sayyidina Tahir Saifuddin Aka. What this call says is, make the material aspects of the world work for you. Utilize technology for the sake of human development rather than being a slave to it. So there is a very fine line between we becoming a slave to technology and making the slave work for us, okay?
Jarvis, you there? At your service, sir.
Again, the key phrase there, at your service, okay? We need to make sure that technology is always at our service and not the other way around, okay? Very easy to get sucked into it. One thing, Netflix, 3.5 years to reach 1 million. ChatGPT, 5 days. Okay? So all the other tools took its time. GPT came and 5 days, 1 million users. Okay? So it's here to stay, very powerful. We have to embrace it. So what's ChatGPT? It can help us in a lot of things: research, writing, coding, ideas, presentations, translations, all that stuff, right? But again, let's not get it to give us the answer. Let's get it to structure the answer for us. We should still use our creativity. Get it to just give us guidance. That's where the real happy existence is going to be, okay? Hey, write me an essay on this. That's not fun. That's going to be half wrong. But tell me what the subsections of that essay should be. Give me some examples. Give me some suggestions. That's where we need to use. Okay? Limitations. So ChatGPT is not a search engine. Okay? It's not real time. It's not learning real time. It has a preset of data and it's learning off of that. So don't use it like Google search. Okay? Google search is different. AI is different. Okay? Its stability and capacity, there are issues. Okay? The biggest thing right now is ChatGPT knows only the world as of up to 2021. So if you go and ask it something about 2022, it might answer you. It might answer you very confidently, and you may not know about it. Okay? So if you forget that 2021, you might go and give something completely wrong. And in the computer terms, we call that hallucinating. So the computer will hallucinate, give you stuff that is confidently, it looks confident, but it may not be accurate. Okay? So this, so here I'd like to use the analogy, right? Google search. Again, very powerful, but Google search is, when you do a Google search, it's like you going into a library and someone giving you 15 books and say, now read all these books and make your decision, right? That's what you get. You get a list of sites, you go into each website, you learn whether this is a good site, bad site, whatever, keep going. How many of you go to Google's second page? Okay. So the bad who do a good job with SEO end up on the first page, but they may not be the best book. The best book might be on page 3, but we don't go to page 3, right? So we just read the first 10 bad books or good books and make a decision. With AI, we're actually speaking to the authors of all these books. So that's the power. You don't have to read to find out the good stuff. You're actually talking to the author. So the author, good questions. You want to learn something about gardening? You're talking to a 50-year experienced gardener. That's going to be the difference with AI. Not reading 15 books on gardening and trying to do gardening yourself. Okay? So keep that in mind. Don't use chat for what it's not. But keep in mind that when you get onto an AI tool, you're talking to the author of that subject. Okay, and I'll show you how later on. Okay, strengths. So pretty much answers questions. It'll generate text for you. You can chat with it. It'll provide you with personal recommendations, right? So travel might be a whole new industry going forward, okay? And it gives you ideas. So here's where when Dr. Tara said we should augment and enhance our creativity, we use tools like this to do it, not kill it, okay? Okay, so prompt engineering. What is it? So this is the structure of how you would speak with a computer. Okay? So everyone needs to understand the variations, the attributes on when you talk to an AI tool. Okay, not just ChatGPT, any AI tool, okay? First, you have to give it a persona. Who are you? Who are you talking to? Are you talking to a kid? Are you talking to a PhD student? Are you talking to the CEO of a company? Are you talking to a marketing expert? Tell the AI tool, who are you first? So then that way, it answers you like that person. So there's no point talking to an educator if I'm asking something about gardening. Tell ChatGPT, you are a gardener. And now your answers will be a lot different. Okay, so give it a persona. Use verbs, find, improve, develop, tell it exactly what you want. I want a list. I want a 200-word essay. Don't just say, give me something. Say, give me a list of 20 items. Be very specific, okay? Because you might be looking for a list, it might give you a paragraph. Then again, you've got to sit there and decipher that, okay? So ask it for bullet summaries. Be specific. Okay, what do you want it to do? Again, think of it as you're talking to a person who doesn't know you. So how would you start talking to that person? Okay? Tone of voice. Do you want a formal tone, a serious tone, humorous tone? What tone do you want? So am I writing this email to a friend? Am I writing this to the entire company, to the entire school? Do I want it more academic? Do I want it formal, informal? All that, right? So tell it what tone to give it to. And importantly, the target audience. So that's very important because then the AI engine knows what this output is going to be used for. So if I want something and I say, give it to my class students, now you need to tell it that my class students are 8-year-olds. So it's not going to give you an academic document. It's going to give you a document set for 8-year-olds. Okay, so very important. Tell it who your target audience is, so it can nicely adjust the tonality of it. And then finally, if you have data and references, give it, because it will learn from that. So you can tell it, go to this website, learn this law, and then summarize it for me. Or learn this law and tell me how it applies to my situation. So you're giving it a reference. It will learn from that reference and then give you your output. So if your prompt has all these, you'll get some good quality output. Now again, this doesn't have to be the first prompt. You can start like this, you can get an output, and then you can again start adjusting. Hey, I don't like 1. Give me more on option 2. So you can start training it and diverting it. But at least start with this. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So this is art generated by AI. Okay? What do you all think was typed into the AI engine to generate this picture? Just shout out. What do you all think you need to tell the computer to generate a picture like this? So this is for the artists in the room. Now you'll be using a lot of AI for your art. Now, you have this in your mind. No one has told you, but now you have to tell someone how to generate this. So what are some words would you use? Sorry? Okay, good, good. Good. Guys? Okay. Any others? Ring curve? Okay. So here's what was typed. Okay? So I don't have a single bone of artistic talent in my body. Okay? But I know to talk to a computer. So that's the fun that's going to be. Okay? You would have got versions of it. You would have got versions. Yes, exactly. You would have got versions of that. Okay? Exactly. The most specific. Now look at the first two lines, the first two words, oil painting. No one mentioned oil painting, so you'd have got a 4K digital picture. But in your mind, you had an oil painting, right? Okay, let's go into some examples. This is the fun part. So I wanted to show you the real power of ChatGPT. Any questions up to this point? Aha. Oh, the $1 million question. What do you think of my art on each slide? So all I did was took the content of the slide, fed it into an engine, and it gave me an abstract picture based on the content. So I didn't spend a lot of time on the art.
Can ChatGPT edit your painting? Like I said, maybe give glasses to the grandfather, or
Yeah.
maybe will it be able to edit that same
This is just the
picture?
first version. You can sit here for 3 days and edit this.
The same picture.
Yeah, and I'll show you that. Okay, so let's look at some really cool examples. Some of y'all, please don't get angry at me if I'm show you something that took a lot of time to do before, and now it's going to get done in milliseconds, okay? Can everyone see? Too small?
Is there a difference?
Yes. So
you have a paid version also and
correct.
a free version also. So, I mean, is there a difference between both of them, or like?
Yes. So currently the free version is GPT 3.5, which has reasoning about 2 out of 5, but speed 5 out of 5. Okay. The paid version is GPT 4, which has a lot more reasoning but slower. So 4 is very, very different to 3. And like we said before, you've got now AI in your hands for $20 a month. Now you have to decide, is that $20 worth it or not? Okay? So now the power is with you. So there is it's called Midjourney, Discord. That's AI for painting, for art. Yes. You get the free and the paid. Everything has free and paid. Now it all depends on the value that you get out of it. Okay? It'll be different because the paid one will give you the beta, the more reasoning. and the free one might not give you as much. Okay.
So what happened to ChatGPT 1 and 2? We never heard of those. No?
See, so, sorry, give me a second, guys. Okay. So 1, 2, there was a 30-year lull from like, let's say 1970s to about 2000, because there wasn't a lot of data that was created, right? Internet was not all, first of all, internet was hardly there. So GPT, like analogy, is let's say a caterpillar, right? A caterpillar was just feeding on little bits of data and growing. And then came the internet in the mid to late 90s. And then there was a blast of data. So now that caterpillar has got tons of knowledge. And as of right now, we can actually say that it has transformed into a butterfly. Okay, so now it's ready to fly. And going back to my speed of light, you're going to get a lot of butterflies flying. Okay? So now we've got tons of data and the AI engine now having learned from it. So now it's going to take off. Okay?
You said at one point that if you fill in bad data, your good data will get mixed and give you average data. So you're saying anyone can go out there and put data in it?
Yeah, because it's public, right? It's learning from public. Now, if you put data today, it won't, because GPT has been stopped from up to 21. But now once it starts evolving, then yeah, you can muddy the waters. And that's one of the moral things we have to deal with. It's called deep fake. So we pump a lot of fake data. Okay? Okay, so what I want to do is just go through some examples of the power of AI, okay? And show you. Sure. Because they were just teaching it. They didn't want to muddy the water with continuously new data coming, so they just put a fault. And they got it all fixed and fine-tuned, and now they'll start releasing bits of data, yeah? Okay, so going back to my prompt engineering, so what you do initially is you just type, right? So you say take on the persona of a 12, so this is an academic example, take on the persona of a grade 12 economics teacher and explain to me the, Nafisa Ben, you're going to find this fun, the concept of price elasticity, okay? Explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old and give me examples, okay? So I'm just crafting the general picture. I've told it who it is, what to give, and who I am, the audience. Okay? So this is my tutor bot. Okay? Now I can sit there for 24 hours asking it questions on price elasticity. It won't have any hard feelings. It won't get angry with me. It won't scold me. It will just keep giving me example after example, explaining what price elasticity is. Okay? No extra fees. No extra. $20 a month. Okay? So I can just keep going on. Okay? So then I can say make the tone funny. Now, another big thing with ChatGPT versus some of the other non-AI is context. Now, I don't have to keep telling it, you're an econ teacher, I'm a 10-year-old, it knows. As long as you're in that same conversation, it knows everything that was done previously. So don't spend time again explaining. Now, I don't have to tell it who the audience is, who the teacher is, and what I want. So now I'm just saying, make the tone funny. Now it's going to explain the same thing in a funny tone. Okay? So it's again brought it down, the examples to a 10-year-old, made things a little funnier. Okay? And then I can just again say, give me 2 more fun examples. And again, it relates to the age group. So it's giving me a comic shop because that's the age group that would be interested, right? So it's structured it's in context. Okay? So now you have 2 things. With ChatGPT, you can open a new chat by clicking on the new chat icon up here, or I can just come here and I can just type new chat. Now, it's back to square one again. It doesn't use all the previous data, okay? So I can just say new chat. Okay. Now we'll do another example. Aha! So that's where a little human intervention will be needed, right? So, can be misled, it cannot. Now, economics, price elasticity, it's so popular and it's such a popular subject that it's very hard for it to get wrong. But if I asked it something very specific on, let's say, something very specific Sri Lankan, you'll have to take that with a grain of salt. Okay? It will. You're not sure. Now, if I'm a 10-year-old, I might be learning all sorts of crazy stuff if I'm not asking popular things. Okay, so...
Is there any way to ask the ChatGPT whether it is, like,
no.
how authentic it is or anything like that? From where have you taken these sources?
That's why I said no, black box. You won't know how it is generated and you can't train it. It already knows.
Is ChatGPT using Google? Like, do they use the information on Google?
No, so Google also uses public, right? It's everything that's public. It's learned and crawled to 3 trillion words on the public internet. Anything that's public data is fair game. Yes, this won't give a source. Unless you specifically asked it, but its job is not to give you a source because Google is better for that. If you really want to read the research paper she did, go to Google and ask, give me so-and-so's research paper. This is taking 5,000 research papers and putting it into one answer for you.
So something like Wikipedia, I mean, a form of Wikipedia. Like
Similar, yeah.
Similar.
Because again, you've got to monitor and master the authors, right? Okay, so here's a nice one. Take on the persona of a grade 5 math teacher and teach me step by step the concepts of lowest common denominator, okay? So similar to the previous example, but right now, no, but give it a couple of months. No, this is ChatGPT by definition is only text. There are other engines for all that. Was another engine. Sound was from another engine. This is purely text-based. Okay. So again, it's giving me LCD. Okay, for a 5th grade math student, right?
So I had a similar kind of a requirement last night, where I had to do some research on an event that happened in the last 10 years, an annual event. I wanted to list down whatever the cities that it was hosted in. Up to 2020, it was accurate. 2020, it was virtual. 2021, it said it was virtual even though I attended it in person.
See, because it hallucinated.
Yeah. So, and then I mentioned it. Said that 2021 is wrong. I attended in person. He said, my apologies. I will rectify the answer for the next person who asked this question.
Exactly. And another thing here is you will not get the same thing twice. Keep that in mind. So if I run this 5 minutes later, all the examples will be different. Okay, because it's giving you the answer while it's learning on the fly. So it's not saving this example for later. This example was built for you. Now all the images in my PowerPoint, you'll never see it again. Because those were built for that content that I put for that instant in time. So if you take the same content 5 minutes later, you'll get a different picture. Okay? Okay. Yeah, so again, that's why this may not be the correct tool for that. There might be another tool for it down the road, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. Okay? You can ask it for the source, but that might not be the only source. because its job is to blend many sources to give you the best answer, right? So here are some examples for LCD, okay? Now here's the stuff that teachers might find interesting. And also, if it starts going on and you don't want it, if it's going in the wrong direction, you can always hit stop generate, okay? Give me 5 practice sums. Okay? So now it's starting to give me some really good homework related items, right? So if I'm weak in a certain subject, I can just keep doing all my practice here, okay? Now, show me the answers. That's all you've got to say, right? It knows what you did before. Okay? Okay. Now, how long do you all take to do a minute assessment? If you had to develop a 30-minute assessment for a maths class, let's say, how long will it take you?
If I have to create questions, it will take me 20 minutes because I have to create, solve, see whether it's correct or not.
Okay. And that's if you're using existing questions, right, from the textbook.
No, if I'm creating my
your
own
questions.
questions.
Okay. Job done. So all I said was create a 30-minute assessment for grade 5 math. It should include time, clock, distance, and fractions. So I've told it that the 4 topics for the assessment, and I said 30 minutes. Okay? Okay? So this is the value. And you can create also your answer sheet from this. So you just say, show me answers, and you can print out the answer sheet as well. Yeah. Because it knew I asked it from before as well. Okay? It will. So that's the whole purpose, right? So it's going to also mark, and like I said, the thing with marking though is one of the main advantages to the education industry is it will mark it based on you. So it knows, Nakia, you are at a grade 6 level. So I'm not going to mark you at grade 5 because, and someone else, I'll mark them a little less. So you can actually get personalized marking now. It might, Nakia, once we start getting login and it understands your persona that I'm Nakia because I keep using the computer, the math sums might be very different from you than from the next person who does it. Because I'm starting to understand that you did that math sum in 30 seconds when you should have taken 2 minutes. So I'm not going to give you that level of math. Exactly. So now you can personalize and teach students without doing that one size fits all to everyone. Okay? Yeah. So right now, ChatGPT doesn't mark, but over time, yeah, you just give it data and then say, correct it. But if it's factual enough, it will mark it. But again, you'll have to take all this with a grain of salt. Okay? Okay. You'll have to take this with a grain of salt, depending on the questions. Now, maths is very factual. It's right and wrong, right? But let's say give something about history. You might have to take that, it may not mark it like a human would. Because the human understands, okay, this child had so much effort, worked hard, let me give him a little leniency. This may not understand that. So it might mark it really hard and demotivate the child. So that human element is not here, and it won't be here. And that's where you as educators will have to put that next level on top.
But does it
right?
have the feature of scanning and uploading a sort of an actual answer script?
You can't scan and upload, it just wants text. At this point, it needs text. Okay? So this is another example of Excel. Now, we would go to Excel and we'd spend time on Excel, right? So all here I'm doing is I'm saying I'm teaching a class on being fit while being a baker. It's a hard combination, being a baker and, and give me a table with 4 columns: name, age, waist size, and weight. Okay? Create fake data for 10 employees and present the data in a table format. So I've got my prompts, right? What I want, how I want it, all that. Now, if you had to make a table in Excel with fake data, you'll sit there and just hammer away, right? 5, 10 minutes. It's created the fake table for me. Okay? And all this is now copy and paste into Excel. You can take from here and straight away just move it into Excel. Okay? So if you're teaching a class and you want some good data, get this guy to make the data for you, or her. Okay. Now I say, okay, add a height column. Now I don't have to say give me fake data, anything. It already knows that my table is fake data. So I just said add a height column. Okay, so there's my height column now. Okay. Now one thing I didn't do is I didn't say give me in the units of measure. It's assumed based on where I am and things like that. But again, you can specify that. You can go as deep as you want. Okay. Now that I have height, I can say calculate the BMI. Okay? So again, you don't need Excel in a class situation. You can just on the fly start teaching kids, right? So now it calculated the BMI. But now look at the intelligence here. BMI is kilos and square meters. Okay? It's done it on the fly. It's converted the pounds to kilos, the height to meters, calculated and put it. And not even told you that it's done that. Okay? But in Excel, you'd have to convert and then do it. Okay? You don't need to do all that here. Okay? Then I can say add an emoji suggesting if the BMI is high, low, or normal. Okay? What's that? That's fine. I'll go till about 5, 6. There. So now it also knows what normal is. It knows the BMI index. It knows what normal ranges are. I didn't have to tell it. Okay? So for all the fake data, it'll do it. Now see again here. The fake data just happens to be all in the normal range. But when I did it before, it had different ranges. Okay? Okay. So you can do things like that that you would typically do in Excel. You can do here as well. Okay? Let's do some examples for creative writing. So this is where we can enhance our creativity. Okay? New chart. He didn't give me food, man. Okay, so here I'm just saying take on the persona of a sci-fi book writer and list out some popular genres in this category. So I'd like to write a sci-fi book. I don't know what's popular. Let this tell me what's popular so then I can see whether that's within my this thing. So it's giving me here some of the popular items in this genre. Okay? So again, now my creativity is being enhanced here. It's not giving, it's guiding me. So now I can say, okay, I really like time travel. Okay? So then I can say things like suggest 3 creative thoughts on point, so time travel was 0.5. So I don't even have to specify time travel. I just say on 0.5. Okay, so now I've got 3 creative suggestions on 0.5. So I can keep going there. I can say, give me some chapter chapter headings. Right? Again, I don't have to keep telling it 0.5 and time travel and all that. I just say, give me some chapter headings. So, yeah. Now, I'm just two words away from actually writing the book. Okay? So, that's some examples on. Now, social media. There's a whole thing on social media. We're just running short on time, so I'm just going to... You can just completely get it to give you social media calendars. It will give you... Okay. So now look at this. Oh, yeah. Okay, look at this. So I want to take on the persona of a content creator and give me my game plan for the month for social media. Okay? So here you've got your social media calendar. Now I can take all this data, I can tell it to elaborate, I can tell it to give me examples, I can tell it to give me, I just can go nuts with this. But it's given me my framework. What am I going to do for June? Now I can say, give me 1 post a week, give me 5 posts a week, 10 posts a week, whatever the case may be, right? So, exactly. So always start with the persona. Don't start without telling it who it is and who you are and who the audience is. That's very important for the value of the content. Otherwise, you're going to get some generic content. Take on the persona. You are now a content creator. Now give me the answer. So it's not going to give you the answer as a sci-fi author, because a sci-fi author would have done this very differently. So tell it who it is before you ask it the question. So that way you're getting it from the specialist. I have even said, pretend to be a PhD student in economics and now explain price elasticity. Very different answer than a grade 8 econ teacher, you know? So you tell it what level of detail you want it to go into, okay? I think, okay.
So I don't want to spend $20 a month because I'm not sure whether I will be able to use it, whether it will be useful for me. So the free option of ChatGPT, obviously, like you said, has some limitations, but there is no harm trying that out. And there are some other options like Bard on Google, for example. Like last night I was saying I tried this out. Bard actually gave me a better response than the free version of ChatGPT.
Correct.
So for everyone who is still contemplating, you don't need to jump in and get the $20 version right now just to get your hands dirty.
Yes, if you're learning, GPT 3.5 is good enough. But if you're going to use the output to earn money or deliver something to your boss, then you need to weigh the pros and cons. Is $20 worth it or not? Okay? But for learning, you don't need to spend $20. That's a plus. Yeah. Okay? So you need to value the output. If the output is just for you to play with and fun with, no problem, 3.5. But if you're going to start presenting on it and delivering it to people who are going to make decisions based on that, I think the $20 is well worth it. Okay? I can't say that in a public forum. Okay, so here's another really cool thing that I live off of, okay? So all I'm saying is I just had a meeting on Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams, there is an option now to transcribe the meeting. So people are talking, Teams is just transcribing the meeting, okay? This is the transcription you get at the end of a meeting, okay? Kuzema said this, someone said this, someone said this. It just gives you raw data. So this is the transcription of the meeting. So what I do is I just take the transcription of the meeting. I come here and I say, summarize the below meeting in 3 paragraphs. Now I don't need someone to sit there and take notes for me. Okay? So this is exactly what the meeting was about because I was in the meeting. Okay? And it did I couldn't have done a better job than this. Example, this is my meeting. I just had this meeting. Okay? And I've now got a full summary of that 1 hour meeting in less than a nanosecond. Okay? Now, if I had to summarize this meeting and send it to a client, I'm down at least 20 to 30 minutes going through the transcription and figuring out who said what, all that stuff. Or in the meeting, I'd be writing notes like crazy and not concentrating on the meeting. So one of the two things. Now I just sit there, have the meeting, 3 seconds later, I've got my summary. Okay? Now here's another kicker. List out all the action items from the meeting. So people who are in meetings know all about this. And this is exactly what the action items were. Nothing more, nothing less. I copied the transcript from Microsoft Teams, Zoom. Any of these meeting softwares will now transcribe for you. In fact, there is AI that you can add to these technologies to do a better job at transcription, but these have the inbuilt ones as well. Yeah, all of them have it. I don't know if the free version has. Again, you need to understand the value of this, you know. No, not if you're having a personal meeting. It will. There might be another software for that. But if you are sitting there and I'm sitting here and let's say we both open our Microsoft Teams, then it knows who you are and who I am. Yes, Teams did the transcription for me. Okay? But again, it doesn't have to be Teams. I could have an assistant sitting in the meeting doing a transcription. I could take their transcription document and put it in here. It doesn't have to be Teams. I just like it because it's 100% accurate. That transcriptionist might miss out some things. She might have a bias in there. Yeah, it doesn't, it just wants text. Okay. It doesn't care where you got it from, okay? Here's another, what's next after this? Yeah, I'm not doing the workshop. We'll end the workshop. Yeah,
or even if
we're not doing that.
Zoom, it probably do the same thing.
Okay, so here for all you aspiring developers, okay? So what I've done is, I've just so I can just put any type of code in, and ask it to generate code for me, okay? So give me the code that accepts the weather and adds an emoji to it. There. It's just building code. So for a developer, okay, so again, for developers, this is huge. Now I can actually get this to debug my code as well. So if there's a mistake in the code, it will find the mistake. If I'm an educator, I can tell it to add a mistake and let the students find the mistake. So I can do all sorts of stuff if I'm in the IT world, okay? Let's just change gears and do a little on, so I'll just show you a video on how we're working with images, okay? So this is us actually generating an image and editing it. So here we just said, give me a picture of a single man standing. Okay. So it gives you 4 variations of every image. Then you pick the one you like the best. And you start editing. So yeah, here we say, give me the single man standing, wearing a sumo, wearing a samurai armor. Right? I'm just talking to it now. I've got my artist behind, inside, doing exactly what I'm telling it. So here's 4 variations of a single man standing, wearing samurai armor. And I just can keep on and on and on going. And it will keep on giving me 4 variations for everything I tell it. So then, this is called Mid-Journey. Mid-Journey. Mid-Journey is the chat GPT for pictures. Mid-Journey. Okay? And then like that, you get another one for videos. So and thousands are being created on a monthly basis, like these. No, just pictures, still pictures. Okay, so we can just keep on going, going like this. Okay, any questions? So here's another video of.
Does this recognize other languages like Arabic and?
Very good question. So it knows lots of languages, okay, because it has scraped the whole public internet. But my recommendation is you don't ask it questions in Arabic, because then it's going to use only its Arabic part of the brain. So if you're an Arabic speaker, let's say, I would go to an Arabic translator, translate my Arabic question to English, and then ask it in English. Because then the whole data set becomes applicable. You see? So it may not understand your Arabic as well as it understands your English. So even though you want to ask it an Arabic question, translate it and ask it in English. It'll do a better job. Huh? You can say translate. It'll take the English and translate it. That becomes a translating job. But what you want to do is get it to use its English data set, because that is maybe 90% of all the other languages, right? Okay. So even if you want something in Croatian, get it to give it you the answer in English and then just translate it. That's maximizing it for its potential today. Now, down the road, it could be doing both just as well.
But recently, I don't know whether you read about it, it came on the papers, no? That some Sri Lankan student in another country, collaborating with another foreign student, has done some, it's a take on ChatGPT only, but it translates, it recognizes some 20-odd languages. And it includes Sinhala in that. So, yeah apparently, but that's apparently different application.
Translation. So that's different.
No. What it said was it was like a ChatGPT, but it like translates the answers to the different languages.
So now what they have created is a face. Like I said, thousands of tools are coming every month. So they've created a face. They take your question in Sinhala, translates it in English, goes to ChatGPT, gets the answer, comes back, translates it, and gives it to you. So you are still talking in Sinhalese, but you don't know all the things that's happening in the back end. So it's just putting a face on ChatGPT, taking your input, massaging it, and coming here. Okay? So here's another example of creating a video out of text. Okay, so all I did is I went into ChatGPT and said, hey, give me a 30-second script of an infomercial that I want to build on hand sanitizers, right? It gave me a 30-second script. I just took that script, pasted it in here, okay? Answered a few questions, what color do you like, all that good stuff. And then wave the magic wand, okay? Okay. Yeah. Okay? So we wave the magic wand. And now, based on that text, it has understood what you want, how you want it, all that. And now it's going to give us a video. So this is real time. This is how long it takes for you to build a video to sell a product. So all the stuff that we had to do before, hire actors and this. So this is for a hand sanitizer product that uses aloe vera. Okay? So this is the video.
What's your choice of a good hand sanitizer? One that's infused with aloe vera.
It's also doing the talking based on that script.
With tea tree fragrance. Using 99% high quality ethanol in its formula. Clinically proven to kill 99.9% bacteria. Gentle to the skin, soft on hand after use. Our hand sanitizer, the best choice.
So this is the sample that's on that website that I use. But that's how long it will take you to generate a video script. Again, may not be the best, but a lot better than if you had to do it on your own, or you may never do it only if you had to do it on your own because of the cost inhibiting factors. Both. I think a lot of the websites give like either 5 or 1 minute. Now, did you see at the beginning where that AI lady welcomed everyone? That's 1 minute free. And then you start paying after that. So a lot of these websites have the freemium and the paid version. So it all exactly. The watermark as well. Yeah? Yes, watermark, a lot of the things, just like any other product, right? So, okay. So that's, I mean, I had a lot more examples, but I think we've run short of time. So we can break for, take a small break, and then if you want, we can go into breakout sessions. I've got some topics that I can assign to each of the tables. You all get together, and until you actually play with it, you won't realize the value of it. Yeah? So we can do maybe a little bit of a workshop type environment. It's up to you all. So if you all want to stay. 6:10. Okay. Okay. So I'll go on for another 10 minutes. Then Ms. Zainab will speak, and then we'll break for namaz and then come back and do the workshop. Would that work? Do you all want to see more examples, or? Huh? Sure. It's creating that image real time. So that was in my first part. Who's the owner of AI created content? We don't know yet.
Can I use that image?
You can use it. And that image will never be created. That's also another thing. So that if I went with the same prompts 5 minutes later, it would have given me different images. So that image is yours now.
But it's using real people, right? Like when it's drawing, is it using real people or it's just a drawing?
It's using the data that it knows, what a person looks like, all that. But it's creating it completely abstract. That image has never been created before.
So for a product photography, I can just create an image on those. I don't need to go and get a photo shoot done, is it? Can I get it done?
Sorry,
for a product photo shoot. Can I just? I don't need to do a physical photo shoot. I can just get it done on a ChatGPT kind of a thing.
You can get the image created, but it won't be the actual product that you're selling. But you can say, give me an image of this item. It will create that image.
That you created.
So you may not be able to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So your photo shoots, you don't need a photo shoot. If you're not trying to propagate your very specific product, if you're just trying to use a generic picture, you can use this all day long. But you may not be able to say, I'm copywriting this, because again, we don't know. We don't know if we can copyright AI-generated images.
But if you have a product which is, a physical shape that is unique to your business, which has certain colors and certain brandings, then when you generate, you won't get that same product. So in that context, you have to do a physical shoot. But if it's a generic image that you're looking for, then you can.
Yeah. So you won't get that again, the same picture ever again, because it was created on the fly. Yes and no. I mean, it will be again within a factor, it will be similar because you're giving it the same prompts, right? Another thing with images is you can upload your existing image and you can then tell it, now take this, what I've given you, and fix. I've given you an image with the sun setting, make it rise. So it will remove the sun from down here and put the sun up here. So you can take your own images also and edit it, or create an image from scratch, up to you. But you won't be able to go into the workshop. No. So we'll do 15 minutes? Okay. Okay, so let's really quickly, I think let's just go into ChatGPT and play with it. Okay? So I've got 3 topics. Each of you all just decide which topic is exciting for you all. I've got topic 1 is a school play. So pretend to be the head of the responsibility of the school play is on you. Now use ChatGPT to get everything done for that school play. Right? It will give you the script, it will give you everything that you want. Okay? Put some prompts in there and see the variations, right? One is a school play, the other is a new product launch. So come up with a type of product that you like and get it to give you everything to do with launching that product, from marketing, creating the lean canvas, all the other things that you would need to launch your product. Okay? The third topic is lesson planning. So think of a lesson that you've got and get it to do everything for you from lesson planning. But more focus on the prompts. So start talking to it like you would talk to a computer. Okay? So let's do that for about 15 minutes and then we'll break. So all your computers should be logged in. Okay? Just pick one of those topics, or just pick any topic that you like even. And try out different things. Remember the persona, tell it who it should be, tell it who you are, and tell it what type of audience you're doing this for. Those are the main things, yeah? Right. Yeah, but now no, but now it can go to the web as well. No, but now we can use the web. The web. What have you all selected? What topic? Huh? School play is fun. If it comes in. Just a note on the Mid-Journey, the art creating software, you can't use the free version for commercial purposes. If they can bring you up to task. So I would, if you're doing anything to do with commercial or money, I would use the paid version for any of these products. They've logged in the same user 50 times. Just log in at you. There are too many simultaneous. Use your own. Log out and use your own. used to simulate. That's the only problem. This whole thing is like you have a product, that's smack. That's your new product. Now, how will you go about doing the whole marketing program for it? So it will tell you you can do research, who your target audience is, how many people, it will tell you all that stuff. Just ask it the correct questions. But now see, that's your topic. So what is the persona you're going to use? Who do you want ChatGPT to become? No, but it's giving you answers now, right? So if you are launching the product, then the persona is pretend to be executive at an ad agency, and now give me the answers. So then its brain is now the head of an ad agency, or MBA student in marketing, right? Because that now you first create the brain that is going to start answering your questions. And then you tell this brain who the audience is going to be. Yeah. Right? Exactly. So Google just takes you to the library, brings you 15 books and says, have fun. Right? What? Just launching a product. So you've got a unique pen. Sorry. You've got a unique pen. Just launch it. Ask it all the marketing types of questions. Do your market survey, your market research. Where will this product be sold best? How many people will actually buy the product? Right? Uh-oh, what have you all selected? What have you all selected? Lesson plan. No, and another thing also, you can just remove one word and whole different. Yeah. Whole thing. Another thing, just to remember, if you all go onto YouTube or Google, just type, give me GPT chat prompts. And there is a ton of people that are the goodness of their heart have created prompts, all going through those things. So they'll give you examples of how many different personas there are. So there'll be a list of 50 or 100 that you can select from. Then what are the different verbs? So, I mean, this is a new language now to all of us, right?